Pest infestation? Call Bugman, because when you see red, bugs are dead.
All right, if you have been waiting for football, this is the week. This is the start of week 1 when all the big dogs play. Thursday, you have a handful of games. Friday, you probably have a 2 handful of games, and Saturday, you've got all the games. So all the college football junkies will be betting and watching and going to a bar, etc., etc. So today, this podcast I'm going to do, today's August the 25th. I waited to this week to do my top 25, and the reason I did that is I wanted to see a little bit more information on teams, and this is what the week when things, especially today, some things start leaking out in terms of injuries, who's out, who's gone for the year, those type of things. They're not always told before this, so that's one reason I waited till this week to release my top 25. However, before I go into that, I'm going to go into a little bit of a rant. I'm going to go into a little bit of a rant on the local AP college football voter that we have from the Roanoke Times. And I don't know this person. I'm not going to say this person's name. I'm just going to say to this person, do better. Do better. Do better. Because the top 25 you put out is a joke. First of all, Tennessee, there's nothing that has Tennessee. Nobody has Tennessee in the top 10. You have them 9th and BYU 10th. I mean, what I would love to know where you get some information, any information, that BYU is a top 10 team in the country. Okay, they lost just about nearly everybody. They got a damn real freshman quarterback coming in named Bear Bachmeier wearing number 47, and we're putting him in number 10. I would say do better. Do better. AP local Roanoke Times voter, because I can tell you right now, BYU's not 10, Tennessee's not 9. Not going into the season. Now, it very well could be that that's how that ended up last year, the top 25, and they just carried it over to this year. Okay, if that's what you did, I mean, at least that's a reason to have them where you have them. But that's not a preseason poll for 2025. That's last year's ending poll. So I'm going on a little bit of a rant there, but do better. Do better, AP voter. I mean, that's a big job. That comes with a lot of, that comes with a lot of insight for people. And then one vote, you get these people out here putting teams in crazy votes. That screws up the whole thing, because the way that the top 25 is done, it's done by average. So if you're throwing in goofy teams like BYU at 10, listen, I'm sorry if you like BYU. I'm sorry if you're a fan of BYU. I'm just going to tell you right now, preseason, they're nowhere near top 10 or probably top 25 at this point. But our guy just throws them in at 10. So I would say, local guy, you got to do better. I'm not going to say your name. And we can get on. We can go on my podcast, your podcast. We can discuss it, but you got to do better. Tennessee's not 9, and there's no damn way you can find anything to show that BYU should be 10. So that's my little bit of a rant on our local AP guy. Maybe it's a little harsh, but hey, we're coming out hot here. We're coming out hot because that's a responsibility, and I think it should be taken seriously. And BYU at 10 is not serious. I mean, bottom line. So, all right. Enough about. I'm going to give you my top 25. And hey, people can rant at me all they want, but I can tell you right now, BYU's not in the top 10. In fact, BYU's not even in my top 25. Anyway, let me give you some. Usually everybody has a top 25, and then there's others receiving votes. I'm going to do something a little bit different in my top 25. I'm going to give you 3 names from each conference that I think are a little bit of a sleeper. So we'll start. It might be 2 teams, 3 teams. We'll look at it. Big 12. If we listen to the Big 12 breakdown, I think there's a jumbled 5 teams at the top. Utah being in there. Nobody's really talking about Utah. I would say be careful. They're going to be a sleeper. Another team in the Big 12 nobody's talking about is West Virginia. And, if you listen to I did a breakdown on West Virginia and I did a breakdown on the Big 12. I'm not so sure that West Virginia is going to come out and win 8, 9, 10 games. But if there's anybody that can do it, it would be Rich Rod and that crazy offense he's going to run. And that running back White, if you listened, he's top 3 running back in my opinion in the country. So from them, from the Big 12, I'll give you Utah, which I don't know if that's a huge sleeper pick, and I'll give you West Virginia. So watch those 2 teams. Let's go. We'll say ACC. ACC. I said this on the radio the other night on Thursday night when we were in studio. I think Pittsburgh in the ACC is a sleeper team. Be careful. I think Narduzzi's loaded up on defense. And if anybody remembers, they were 7-0 last year before quarterback got hurt. And then they lost 6 in a row, right? Keep that in mind. Pittsburgh. My next one would be Duke. Basically for the same reason. I think Manny Diaz has done a good job recruiting on that defensive side. Offensively, the quarterback they got this year, Mensa, is way better than the Murphy kid they had last year. So for that reason, I have Duke. My third one would be North Carolina. North Carolina. Not a lot of people are talking about North Carolina, but if you go look at North Carolina's schedule, you can almost damn bet they're going to be at least 5-0, 5-1, excuse me, coming out of their 6 games. And they're going to get a lot of eyeballs doing that. So UNC, Pittsburgh, and Duke in the ACC. In the Big Ten, Iowa. I think Iowa comes back a little bit. I think they've made some improvements, and they're going to be a tough little out. I think Nebraska. I think Matt Rule is doing the right things there. Watch Nebraska. USC. I told you when we did the breakdown for the Big Ten, run to the USC over. I think they're going to get over. Offensively, defensively, I think they'll be better. In the SEC, I think Missouri. I think Missouri's going to be somebody that you got to watch out for. I think Missouri's going to be good. I also think, and I have Oklahoma in my top 25, so I don't know if this is a reach, but I think Oklahoma is going to bounce back big time. I think the quarterback they got is really good. The running back they got, the kid from Cal, Ott, is really good. Offensive line is pretty stacked. Defensively, they're pretty good. So I like Oklahoma also. So let's do my top 25. We'll try to run through it quick. 25. I'm putting Kansas State there. Now, truth to what I'm saying here, I had Kansas State a little bit higher when I wrote this down last week, but not much higher. I have Kansas State 25th. At 24, I have Indiana. Some people will say, I don't know. They don't really play anybody, but I'm just not a big believer in Cincinnati yet. And I think the game against Illinois, I think it's like third or fourth game, will give us a little more insight to what we're dealing with. 23, I got Texas Tech. I mean, if anything, they won the NIL this year, right? They paid a whole lot of money. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. I would say this about them. I would say the one key thing to them is they throw the ball a lot, so be careful. You can win games and lose games doing that, right? 22, like we just talked about, I have Oklahoma. I think they're going to be good. Now, they have a killer schedule, but they have really, really good talent back. 21st, I have SMU. I'm not sold on SMU this year. I don't think you're going to get the same thing that you got last year with SMU. I mean, it's hard to go from being, from you hunting teams to being the hunted, and I think that's where they are now. Jennings is back, but defense lost a ton, and defense hit. They weren't all-world defense, but they helped them out last year. And with a tougher schedule and some good out-of-conference games, I think they're going to be, they're going to be in the bottom half, probably the top 25, but I don't think they'll be as good. 19, I have, this is going to surprise some people, but I have Duke. I have Duke 19. And someone would say, well, why in the world do you have Duke 19? Well, they have 13 starters back. They got an upgrade at quarterback. The Mensa kid from Tulane is legit. They have 4 or 5 offensive linemen back, running back. They had 6 returning starters to that defense. They brought in 2 transfers that were starters elsewhere. So they essentially have almost 17 returning starters if you do the math. I just think they're going to be a good team. 18, A&M. They return, quite frankly, they return 2 quarterbacks. They return 3 running backs, really 4. They return all of their offensive linemen. Wide receiver, they got better. They brought in 3 wide receivers that were better than they had last year. Defensive line took a hit because they lost 3 NFL draft players. The guys that were behind them are good. They also brought in some talent in the portal that will help shore up anything that they lost, I think. In fact, I think they'll have more sacks this year than they did last year. They were a top 25 team in pass defense. All those guys are back. Linebackers, the back 7 are back. So that's why I have A&M 18th. 17th, I have Baylor. Hey, they were the 20th ranked offense last year. They have 8 people back on that offense. So we know they're going to be good offensively. Defensively is the place I think you'd have to worry about. But, Aranda is a defensive coordinator in the past, so I think they're going to be pretty good. 16, I have South Carolina. Look, Sellers, the QB is legit. I just heard him talking about on the radio earlier. He is a Heisman candidate if they can go and do special things this year. I just think they got to replace a lot. They replaced 3 offensive linemen. They replaced a running back, although for the people that are interested in the Virginia Tech and South Carolina game, I told you if you listen to the Virginia Tech game, there's a kid by the name of Faison, the running back for South Carolina. They've been waiting on him. He just got approval from the NCAA to play. Now, he's been practicing. They allowed him to practice all year. So he hasn't been sitting on the bench somewhere. So keep that in mind. Defensively, they took a hit. So I think they're going to struggle a little bit more than people think. I think they're still a good team, but I think they'll struggle a little bit. 15th, I have Florida. Listen, it's all about DJ Lagway at Florida. They play a killer schedule. So he's got to stay healthy. I mean, that's the bottom line there. 14, I have Iowa State. I'll be honest, you couldn't tell a whole lot last week between Iowa State and Kansas State. I mean, I don't know that those are the 2 best teams in the Big 12. So if you're still trying to do a preseason winner of the Big 12, I probably wouldn't pick either one of those. They looked sloppy. No, it was a sloppy field, but I think the Beck kid is good. I just don't think – I didn't see any electricity to make me think, wow, those two teams are going to be hard to stop. So for that reason, I have them there. Let's see. We are on number 13 now. 13, I have Michigan. This might be a little high for Michigan. They have the freshman quarterback coming in, Underwood. I think their offensive line is going to be good. They're going to be able to be Michigan, run the ball, maybe get him acclimated to being the quarterback. The only thing I don't like is that he's come out the other day and said that the NCAA or nobody has ever seen a freshman like him. Look, and coaches will tell you this. Shut up. Be quiet. Don't be talking crap. Go out there. You're just putting a bullseye on you. So, I don't know. Will Michigan end up 13th? I don't know. We'll see. At 12, I have Illinois. 16 starters back. 16 starters back. They won 10 games last year. Offensive line is very good. We know Belima wants to run the ball. Quarterback is good. I think defensively they're good. And we know this. We know this about his teams. He's physical. He makes it ugly. He can play in snow and rain if he needs to. I just think they're going to be pretty good this year. Like I said earlier, the Indiana-Illinois game will tell a lot about both of those teams. I want to say it's week 3 or 4 for both of those teams. Number 11. I have Oregon, number 11. Listen, I'm going to be honest. The Dante Moore kid, when he came out as a freshman, the quarterback that transferred from UCLA, I personally thought he was the best of that bunch when he came out. If you watched, anybody pays any attention to the Elite 11, he blew it up. He was on fire. 2 years ago, he threw for 15-plus 100 yards at UCLA. Last year, he came to Oregon. He set out. So he played, set out. Now he's a starter again. And let's be honest, he's got way more talent at Oregon than he had at UCLA. So I think they got to get some. They got to get some of their kids, and they got to gel a little bit. I think Oregon's a team to watch out for. At 10, I've got Bama. It hurts that they lost their running back. He's going to be out for the first, we'll probably say 5 or 6 games of the year. Second best wide receiver in the country in Ryan Williams. Scares me a little bit with these new quarterbacks, and we're ranking them high. Offensive line needs a little help, but I think they'll be good. Number 9, Miami. I have Miami high. Best offensive line they've had. I know people. We've heard the whole Miami's back now for 5 years, 4 years. They got to find a running back. They got to find a running back, and they got to find another receiver to kind of help them out. Defensively, they've got the freaks. They've got the athletes. The question is, can they gel? Can they come together? And if they get down, do they quit? Because, I'm not saying the kids quit, but sometimes it looks like they do. Just being honest. 8, I have Georgia. Personally, I'm not a big believer in Gunnar Stockton just yet. I mean, he played good against Texas last year in the playoffs and the championship, SEC championship. Their wide receiver room got better. Offensive line needs work. They lost 4, we'll say 3.5 linemen. And the defense, we know they've got 5 stars sitting around there. We know they got Chris Cole down there. But they're going to have to gel. And I think that's what hurt them a little bit last year is defensively they weren't the Georgia defense that people have come to love. Number 7, I have Notre Dame. Once again, new quarterback coming in. Sooner or later that's going to hurt these teams. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. It's going to hurt them. The good news is the offensive line is pretty damn good. So he can hand off the ball for quite a bit. They do get a new defensive coordinator, and they lost quite a bit of talent on the defensive side of the ball. So that'll be an interesting game. These games, are the way that I got these teams ranked, they pretty much play somebody in front of them in the first 3 or 4 weeks. So they can flip around pretty quick. Number 6, Ohio State. Best receiver in the country. They've got tons of talent back. Again, we got a new quarterback. I mean, that seems to be the theme there, right? 2 new coordinators. Now, I will say the defensive coordinator is. We don't know much about him. I mean, we know about him in the pros. We know Matt Patricia in the pros, but I think that's a question mark. Can he adjust to being in college? That'll be interesting to see. Obviously, they play Texas. You haven't heard Texas yet, so they beat them. They're probably where Texas is in my top 25. So, number 5, I have LSU. Nussmeier's back. Defensively, they're back, but they focused in the portal on defense too. I would say the offensive line is going to need a little bit of work, and wide receiver wise, they might need a little bit of work. And if you remember, they struggled to run the ball the last few years. They've lost 5 in a row. 5 in a row in terms of openers. Where do they go? To Clemson. So keep that in mind. 4, I have Arizona State. I probably have Arizona State a little higher than some. 16 starters back from a team that went to the college football playoff, won the Big 12 conference last year, returned their quarterback, their wide receiver, 4 of 5 on the offensive line. They've got 9 starters back on defense. I don't know that people are talking about Arizona State as much as they should with all that returning talent. Now, they got to go out and show that they can do it 2 years in a row. Remember last year they were picked 16th. Now a lot of people have them 1. That's a big flop. So can they continue that? We'll see. Number 3, I have Texas. Is Arch Manning legit? I mean, we think he is. I mean, if there's anybody that's ever been prepared to be a quarterback in any league ever, it has to be him, right? With all of the people in his family and that he's been around. Offensive line is a strength early for him. I think that's good. Defense is going to be good. They're going to have a good defense. The question is going to be, just like we said about Florida, I think Texas goes how Arch goes. So we'll see. That's why I have them 3. 2, I have Clemson. Kubnick's back. Wide receivers back. 4 offensive linemen are back. Defensive coordinator, Alley, that was at Oklahoma State for a little bit. Good kid. I think he'll be a really good defensive coordinator. Defensively, they are loaded on the defensive line and the linebackers. So that's going to be interesting for that Clemson LSU game because Clemson's defensive line should be ahead of LSU's offensive line. So, number 1, we're in and we got Penn State. Quarterback's back. 2 running backs that rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. Think about that. I mean, some teams don't get 1. They had 2. Defensively is an upgrade because they got Knowles from Ohio State. They went in and stole him. I think the wide receiver room got better for them. They did get better. They got some portal guys. I think they're legit. I mean, to me, Penn State and Clemson are the most well-rounded team starting the year. Now, that's only on paper, right? That's my opinion and on paper. So keep that in mind. But that's my top 25. This is probably one of the longest podcasts I've done, but I had that rant at the beginning that I just feel like I had to get out. But anyway, that's my top 25, and tomorrow and Thursday we'll be dropping some new stuff. So thank you. Heathens Kettle Corn and Mobile Grill. You can find them at Dr. Pepper Park, local Roanoke events, and also now doing fundraising with teams, organizations, churches, etc. Find them on Facebook, Heathens Kettle Corn and Mobile Grill.